Hello, everyone. Welcome back on BlockGems. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce you a guest that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, Pio from EscapeVelocity. He has been putting on his channel amazing content recently, cranking up a lot of material, a lot of really, really good stuff that I massively recommend. And the most important question that I have today, Pio, how are you? How are you today?
I'm doing well, Marco. Thank you for having me on BlockGems. You were creating content before I was, and I really enjoyed, seeing your content early on and continuing to consume the stuff that you're putting out. And I think that the content that you make is different than the stuff that I make. So I really enjoy collaborating with you and trying to complement each other in this space. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. So I have been, actually, we have been witnessing a lot of interesting conversation on crypto Twitter in the last weeks. We have seen a lot of interesting movements in the market. And probably this is also why we are here having this conversation today to add some comments to that, to add our angle to that. And I wanted to start from one specific point that I was introducing to you even before we started recording, and it's this meme, this mania around the phrase NFTs are dead. And I was really curious to get some comments from you, understand what you thought about that. What are your thoughts around that?
Sure, absolutely. I think that memes like that and really statements like that are so funny because really what you're seeing there is you're seeing a combination of ego from somebody, like ego that they're thinking, I'm worthy of saying this, like, my opinion on this is bigger than the actual long-term reality of something that's obviously bigger than any individual person. So that's number one. And then the other thing is there's definitely some sort of, I guess you could say, FOMO. People don't just say that unless they feel like they missed something or they didn't get in on something. So to me, those people probably did not like seeing their friends or people that they know or people on Twitter making a ton of money off of NFTs, making big NFT sales when they didn't have the interest in learning about the space to put themselves in a similar position, or they're very risk averse in the space or risk averse period. So buying like an NFT is just way too risky of a thing for them to do, even if, there was a lot of upside at one point, or if they poo-pooed NFTs super early on and then the space exploded and they were like, well, I just look, not so smart because I dismissed this early on and now it's way bigger than I ever could have imagined. So now those people are really excited to dance on the NFT grave. But I think it's so funny that you brought this up right off the bat, because I actually put a tweet out like maybe 2 months ago or something. And I'm going to retweet it, quote tweet it this week, because I think it's aged very well. And that was a tweet where I even had a video of me talking. It's from one of my EscapeVelocity videos on it, where I basically said that when the crypto market crashes at the end of this bull run, people are going to say NFTs were a fad. People are going to say that NFTs are over. I have to watch the clip and see if I actually said NFTs are dead, because that would be really
amazing.
Good.
Yes.
I don't think I said that. Maybe I did. I gotta look. But the only difference is I thought that was going to happen after the bull run is over. And I think this 51% Bitcoin correction that we've seen here has a small portion of the crypto population actually thinking the bull run is over. I'm not in that population, but I think because of that premature crowning of the end of the bull run, declaration of the end of the bull run, that's why we're seeing this now a little earlier than I expected, but seeing it nonetheless. I was 100% positive that exactly this was going to happen.
It is interesting to me that your point of view from in this perspective is very close to also what I think. And I don't know if you remember back in 2017, where the CryptoKitties craze started and took off pretty quickly. And then it also faded out when the bull market of the time faded out. So this parallelism between that very, very early bull market in the NFT space was also coming to life with the peak of the crypto bull market back in those days, and now we witnessed the sort of the same thing if you think about it, right? And I think that these two things, so the financial space of whichever asset is built on the blockchain, is now going in tandem, right? More or less at the same pace, also with the NFT. And if that is the case, it probably means that there is a long way in front of us, and we are super early if we make these kind of comparisons, right?
For sure. And I unfortunately was not privy to the NFT space in 2017. And, obviously I wish that I was. I probably would have like multiple crypto punks at this point. And
Yes.
But no, that's interesting that you said that. The other thing that I think about is that 2017 to me feels like it's yesterday. Maybe I'm like aging myself here, but the thing is, it's literally 4 years ago. So when I start to think in those terms and how fast time seems to be moving, in my life, I feel like, we're not going to see a decoupling between the NFT market and the crypto markets for at least 1 to 2 more crypto market cycles. And so that's like 4 to 8 years minimum, right? And so when you start to think like that, yeah, we're incredibly early. Artwork is just, and I talked about this on a video on the Nifty Culture YouTube channel that I recorded last Friday, where art was the first mainstream explosion of NFT technology. I mean, I guess it's the second one, right? Because the first one is money, aka Bitcoin, aka the birth of blockchain and NFT technology, Bitcoin, the original non-fungible token, right? And then now we have this art explosion that came after money. And I think the next explosion will be like operations, if you will, right? And that's that utility NFT that you and me were kind of talking a little bit about off air. That is kind of the direction that you're going in. And we just saw Gary Vee kind of take matters into his own hands and do that first like full utility focused NFT. And we'll just see it more and more, I believe, to the point where every day, like operations like accounting and contracts and things like that are just going to be inherently handled with blockchain technology, because it's just so much more efficient, cheaper, automated, faster, the whole thing, right? And always we're going to just move forward with the thing that's better, and that's all NFT. So when you say NFT, it's not just artwork, it's really any blockchain related system.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Now we have seen the surge of collectibles in the form of artistic pieces, in the form of baseball cards, Formula One cards, NBA cards, and any of these even tradable card games, collectibles. These were sort of, we can call them if not the first, maybe the second application, because really the proto applications were the CryptoPunks and the CryptoKitties. These were the very early experiments that we've seen a couple of years ago. And now in this moment, we are seeing the birth of what you mentioned, these utility NFTs, or let's just say NFTs whose purpose is not just to sit there and be looked at, right? And it's typically, this is my experience, that, and also this happened in the crypto space, where by crypto space I mean the money space, that the most interesting projects started precisely during the periods where the price action was not so sexy. And what are your thoughts around that? Have you seen something that particularly caught your eye recently? Something that you think is going to do very well, or something that you think has some interesting ideas that could propel the next leg up, or in general that could propel new use cases?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, and it's hard for me to weigh in on that question right now, because I think things are going to get better, and then they're going to get much worse, right? Because I'm fully aware that the Bitcoin bull run, which is effectively like everyone says the crypto bull run, it's the Bitcoin bull run that's, completely correlated to Bitcoin's halving. And then as a result, because the Bitcoin is like the S&P 500 of crypto, all the other, the altcoins, if you will, all the other crypto projects move with Bitcoin, right? So I believe, and I think this opinion right now was going to age really well through the end of the year, that the bull run is not over. We're going to hit massive highs in October, but then I do believe there'll be like an 80% or whatever, 50 to 80% correction after that, that probably lasts like close to a year. Historically, these corrections have lasted like 8 to 12 months, which, when you just look at a chart, it doesn't seem like it's that long, but when you're really living 8 to 12 months of the crypto going down way more than it goes up, the Bitcoin going way down, it doesn't feel as good, right? So I think that right now, the NFT projects that I have the most interest in is I'm interested in seeing the continued trajectory of Bored Ape Yacht Club, because I think that project has really caught fire. It kind of had an initial, it really blew up initially, and then it cooled off a little bit, and then now it's had this massive blow up. So I'm very interested in that project. And then the other project, which I'll actually be doing a stream Tuesday morning with a gentleman that many of you might know from Discord named Sophisticated Art Speculator. He's really big on the Bonsai project. So if you know about the Bonsai project, it's a similar model to CryptoPunks to Bored Ape Yacht Club, and it's following a similar trajectory to Bored Ape Yacht Club. So that's what I'm going to dig in with him on that, and dig in with him on Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then pick his brain to see if there's any other projects he's excited about. But what I'll say is there aren't any projects coming out on Nifty Gateway that have me excited at this point. And I don't think that Nifty Gateway is going to zero. I don't think that it's over, but I don't think that right now people are that excited about it. And maybe that's like the best time to buy, but there's obviously a tremendous amount of risk involved in that sort of predicament.
Absolutely. There is this double side. From one end, one might say that in these moments, you could find the best sales, right? The best deals, especially if you are after blue chip names, because there is not too much excitement, at least compared to a couple months back. But at the same time, you see that the direction in the space is tilting more towards tokens that have some utility associated with them. And you mentioned the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is a project that I started to love a few weeks back. I didn't want to ape into it, but then I said I need to be part of this. And I also made a video about it. I don't know if you got the chance to take a look. I said, guys, this is absolutely. I'm not shilling apes, but I want, one of the reasons why I wanted to make a purchase of one of these 10,000 items was because it made me feel I could become part of something. And I think that even that is a symbol of utility, if you want. I don't know how do you feel about that. And on top of that, there are going to be all these things that they want to build, right? There are going to be spaces in the metaverse. In this case, it could be the sandbox gaming universe. It could be other spaces. And I think that other projects are also going in this direction. So what could be the utility cases that you have been considering, for instance, for Bonsai, for instance, for Bored Ape Yacht Club, or for other cases? What are the ideas that are out there?
Yeah, so will you touch upon one, and that's that the Bored Ape Yacht Club is a real like community, and it's effectively a social club. And it's funny, I have a day job, and a girl that I work with at my day job, she like found out that I was into NFTs, and she let me know that she owns multiple Bored Apes, and I was just like, wow, Carly, my goodness, like you're killing it, you're an animal. Like I don't have any Bored Apes. I got crazy FOMO right there. I was like, I'm sleeping over here, and And I think that the nature, like the way that I aped into Nifty Gateway and the devastation that the secondary market on Nifty Gateway has absorbed has me just very cautious as to like the next projects that I buy into. The only thing that stopped me from Bored Ape Yacht Club, because really all signs were there, right? Like Bored Ape Yacht Club took shine away from the Beeple like spring summer drop, like, and that's like a big thing to do. Like it dropped that the same weekend, and normally that would be like a death sentence, right? That's like if you dropped an album the same weekend as Kanye West, like it's probably not going to go that well for you. But the flip side of that is if you can steal shine from the big dog, like from the Beeple, that's incredible. So right there, you pretty much knew that it was going to be good. Like Slime Sunday, Fuck Render, like all these different big time artists immediately changed their avatars to Bored Apes. 888, the big
888,
collector. So many people. So it was like, it was kind of obvious, right? And then it cooled off a little bit, and that was the time where I should have gotten in, but I didn't take the action. But like you said, it's a social club, it's a community. There's going to be in-person meetups. They're creating really cool merchandise that's like original, and again, you have to be a part of the club to get it, and it's quality stuff. So that's the exclusivity. And then my favorite part about Bored Ape Yacht Club is the fact that when you buy an ape, you own the intellectual property of that ape. And thus, if they make a Bored Ape Yacht Club comic book, or they make a cartoon, or there's any sort of media that features bored apes, if they're going to use your ape, you get a royalty for that. So I love that. I think that that's a huge part of NFTs that is, layers deep into cutting out the middleman and providing the collector with power. So those factors are huge for me with Bored Apes, and I'm really interested to see what else they come up with, because this stuff can continue to be built.
Absolutely. And a couple of comments on these last things you mentioned. First of all, the collector for once gets this message of there is something in it for me as well. I don't just get to own it, but it is really something that is going to benefit me just because I own it. And you mentioned the intellectual property aspect, which is already huge. It's something unheard of up until today in the human history. We never had this, and this is already very, very innovative. And if you think about how the topic of innovation has done in the NFT world, basically, when you do something new for the first time in the NFT world, typically it tends to pay off very, very well. If you think about CryptoPunks, the first NFT use case of all, right? They now represent that, and so for that, that's why you pay so much, right? To own some of them. And one of the reasons why I was so attracted to the Bored Apes was this is the first time that something new is happening. And this project is always going to be remembered for that. Doesn't matter what happens in the future. So even though the best aspect in that project is related to utility, also the collector aspect, the purely collectible aspect is also, in my opinion, very interesting. So really, really happy that we are aligned on this one. And when it comes to some artists that you think that are doing particularly well recently, is there any name that caught your attention? Is there any artist that you would say he or she has done something different, is doing something that deserves attention, that deserves praise?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard for me to sort of anoint the different artists, because I think that I genuinely think that there are so many incredible NFT artists. I know a lot of digital artists are in favor, and I think the digital art part is really cool, but my style is more actually traditional. So I just love to see incredible paintings. I love to see, incredible, like sort of like video sort of stuff, like versus just digital. My personal, one of my favorite artists in the NFT space recently caught fire in a lot of ways, and I think it's incredibly well deserved. And I have a theory on maybe why he didn't have the same level of flame until now, but that's XCopy. I'm a huge fan of XCopy. I think XCopy is so awesome as an artist. his art reminds me of like, I grew up in the 90s, right? I was born in 1990s. So in the early 90s,
Same
like
as me.
90, yeah, 94, 95. I feel like those early internet days, the way that media represented the internet, like when they were kind of like doing it either for kids or for
Hmm.
teens, it was
Hmm.
like really cool artwork that was like black and had bright colors and had like little characters that represented like megabytes and stuff like that, you know? So I feel that that's the feeling that I get when I look at his stuff. And I really like, you know, cartoony things, and the fact that his stuff is like that and has that sort of like video, like GIF aspect to it, it just very much so matches with what I appreciate in artistic aesthetics. And I think the reason that he wasn't like sort of held in a crazy high regard when he first was dropping on Nifty Gateway is because he's been at this for a really long time. So by the time he got to Nifty Gateway, I think he was like, I'm going to make the money that I deserve, which by all means do it. And so
Hmm.
his pricing on his stuff was like insane. Like his open editions were like $3,500 or something like that. So I think if it was a $700 piece and he sold a bunch of them and then it shot up like a Bitcoin Angel or something, or like a Last Stand of the Nation State, then it would have got more attention because people would have felt like, well, I spent 700 and now my 700 is worth 4,000. It's not really the same when you drop it for $3,500 and it appreciates to like $4,200. It's like, all right, well, I didn't have the 3,500 to throw at it at first. But he's an artist that I absolutely love, that I hope I'll be able to interview someday. It's tough because he's one of these anonymous people. So I think
Hmm.
we'd have to do a written interview instead of a video interview. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to talk to you, man. You know, so we have to figure that part out.
It's interesting that you mentioned an artist that has been in the space for so long, because I also think that some of the blue chips are blue chips because they have been in the space for a long time. They've shown the commitment. They've shown that they want to have that kind of dedication and they want to invest that kind of time into it, and they believe it so much. Um, if you think about Hakatao, one of my favorite artists, they've been in the space since 2018. They've been true innovators in the space, and they had the guts or the belief or the commitment to stick to it, even though nobody was interested in NFTs in 2018 and 2019. The explosion has been very, very recent, but these are the kind of people that have put thought into it and have put the energy and the amount. And maybe we've touched on this point earlier, but one of the reasons why, as you mentioned, for instance, the case of Xcopy, they might charge that much, it's not because they're being overpaid right now, but it's because they've been so massively underpaid before. This is something that must be said. These are people that have been putting in work for zero payback for years, and now
Yeah.
they're seeing that acknowledged, that value acknowledged. So I totally resonate with that angle as well. So now I'm very cognizant on the time. So I would like to close it here if that is okay with you. But please, guys, remember to subscribe to EscapeVelocity, to NFT culture. It's totally worth it. And Pio, I really would like to thank you for your time. I massively appreciated this interview. Hopefully we can do it again, maybe at your place next time. And we can wrap it up here. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds good, man. You know, I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I want to make it like I talked to you about before, like a monthly thing. Like I just still think that there aren't very many people creating content in the NFT space. And it's actually a very necessary component to the space thriving. There's nothing that anyone can do to make the space die, right? Because this is just the digital version of the traditional art world. So anyone that's saying NFTs are dead, again, that's just like an ego thing. And they don't really understand that some things are just bigger than one individual person, and there's really nothing you can do about it. But I think that there need to be more people like you and more people, you know, like me and the gang at NFT Culture that are, you know, driving the space forward by providing avenues of effectively media coverage and introspectives into what's going on. So I always enjoy talking to you, man, and I hope that people get value out of our conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. I also hope that people value this kind of education that we put it out there. And I think that this was the perfect wrap. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.